recording this meeting until I realized I was on mute for about 2 minutes. But why are turkeys never hungry on Thanksgiving? Because they're already stuffed. It sounds weird when nobody laughs afterwards, but we're going to go into a few things that I got to go over with you. I thought it'd be easier to send this out than it would be to get everybody that's out of town all together to go over it. But the main thing is subcontractors. And when I say subcontractors, I mean people like TGT or In-Depth or JD Taylor, who runs, spinners or hoisting cameras, hoisting TGT tools, anything like that. So the two incidents that we had recently, one of them led to our ISN scores with customers that had nothing to do with those two jobs to be red and failure. But I'll go into that. The first one was we were on a big job for Oxy where hundreds of people were watching it because there was bad problems and bad washout. So we were there running a bond log. They asked us to run a spinner. At the time, we didn't have our own. So we called JD Taylor out to location. Also, the big line crew that was out there did not know that In-Depth was sitting there on location with the spinner tools, waiting in case Oxy needed them. So we unknowingly waited for JD Taylor to get out there to run his spinner tool. And he walked across the view of the camera wearing shorts on location. So Oxy called us. I was on the phone with the company man, and the company man said, "Hey, there was a spinner tool on location. We waited for the guy that you requested to come out. That guy is a representative of Renegade because we called him out there, and he's walking across a camera where everybody at Oxy can watch him and see that he's wearing shorts on location." So it is our job anytime we're on location, because TGT or JD or In-Depth has to bill through us. They are under our umbrella for liability, for safety, for everything. So it's our responsibility to make sure that any subcontractor we have on location is wearing proper PPE. The second incident was we were hoisting a TGT log in Seminole. The Oxy rep was there. He asked everybody questions, did a little safety audit. The TGT guy had a 4-way gas monitor. The TGT guy, he works remotely, and he said that he did not know the last time that his monitor was bump tested. So that led to the Oxy safety rep wanting us to perform an audit and have TGT as a subcontractor listed on our account in ISN. Whenever we linked TGT as a subcontractor on ISN, it made our scores go down to failing because we had not completed the safety audit of TGT. We thought we were going to have time to do that, but we didn't. So there were customers calling saying you are in violation of your MSA with us. That's what Kinder Morgan said. And we can't use you if you have TGT linked as a subcontractor for you. And so it turned in a little H2S monitor, turned into a big deal. And, all that to say, if we have a subcontractor on location, if we're hoisting for somebody, if anybody is billing through us, we have to take ownership of them complying with all of our safety requirements that we're accountable to. We haven't talked about behavior-based safety sheets and inspections on KPA in a while, but they're really good sheets to fill out along with our truck inspections. It'll never hurt to look over those and do those while you're sitting and waiting on location. Another safety reminder, you should never be in too big of a hurry to have a JSA filled out before you start working. Always have it. You never know when somebody's going to ask for it, and you never know when you could see something on there that can help you be safer, like overhead power lines or anything. There's been a couple times lately where we see people, standing on the wireline truck trying to wash the mast and the lube, and we appreciate trying to keep the trucks looking good, and you need to get up there to wash them. We understand that, but it's getting cold out. There can be ice, and there's oil and grease all over our trucks, and I don't want anybody to fall off and break their arm or worse. So if you're going to get on the truck, please harness up. If you're ever going to get 4 foot off the ground on location, it's an OSHA requirement that we're required to comply with. Harness up. If you're ever in a man lift, even just to move it across location, have your harness on and harnessed up. If you need to get onto the top rung of a step ladder for any reason, we shouldn't be trying to, shimmy up a flow line or a wellhead to connect a swedge. You should be using your stop work authority. If you see somebody washing a truck that isn't harnessed up, that's off the ground, or if you see somebody trying to climb up a wellhead like a monkey, or moving a forklift that they're standing on a pallet with no harness on, let's do stuff that's smart and safe as far as being off the ground and not being harnessed up. Next on the list, if you have any 1-inch stuff on your truck, please bring it to the yard. We're gathering stuff up. We needed 1-inch stuff for the pluggers and the profilers on the same day, and we had barely enough stuff to make 2 complete cable heads. And either we're breaking the sleeves every time we rehead, or I would suspect we've got some stuff out on the trucks that could just all be in one central place. So if you've got any 1-inch stuff, please bring it into the shop, and we'll put it with the rest of the stuff to be able to send out to everybody. I got a call from Oxy. I'm sure all of you remember the meeting we had where we talked about the rigless work permits. And I think we're doing a good job filling those out. It's pretty simple. They can take the place of your JSA, and then you fill out your lockout tagout section at the bottom. And then, I scan those in and I email them to Oxy. I haven't heard anything about them. So that means they're good enough to make it through their safety audit of them. But what they've realized with some other contractors, and it sounded like they have some chemical treaters. So EJ and Randy, it's probably y'all's fault. It's y'all's people, but they've had chemical treaters go out and improperly isolate the pressure on the flow line or the wellhead, and had some kind of incident where they did not properly lockout tag out. And the chemical treaters are out there, and there's no Oxy rep out there, and so that threw a red flag for them. And according to Oxy's policy, anytime a lockout tagout is applied to anything on location, an Oxy rep is supposed to be there to witness it, to make sure the energy isolation is actually happening and happening safely. I could really see that happening if people are shutting down ESPs and going to start to work on stuff. An Oxy rep needs to be there so somebody doesn't get electrocuted. We talked about, our process, especially in Denver City, where there's no swab valve on top. And this is when it only applies. Whenever you have to shut off injection, shut the wellhead, and bleed off that line, that counts as energy isolation. It doesn't necessarily count if we just shut off injection, because there's pressure on both sides. We haven't isolated really the pressure. But whenever we bleed that off, that counts as a energy isolation event and warrants a lockout tagout. And it also warrants an Oxy employee being there to witness it. So there's two things that I talked about with Oxy that are going to happen going forward. First is anytime Oxy sends a IFA out to location to do anything, clean out the meter, whatever they're going to do, they want to start trying to actually put swab valves above the injection tees. So instead of that 2 3/8 cap with a 1/2 inch ball valve on top, they want to put a nipple and a 2-inch valve, and then another nipple to a 2 3/8 box, and then put that plug that's on the tee on the top of that box. So we just have to close that 2-inch valve. They want it to stay closed, and we just remove that cap on the top, and then we put our swedge on top, and then there's no isolation event because we never had to shut off injection and bleed off that line. That can't happen overnight. In the meantime, if we are on a well where we have to bleed off the line to put our swab valve on, we need to put a lockout tagout on the injection line, and Oxy wants us to make a FaceTime attempt to the injection analyst. They want you to FaceTime them, show them that the tubing valve and the injection line valve are closed and you're about to bleed it off. They'll say, okay, you got it. And then you write the injection analyst's name as a witness down on that rigless work permit. I would say that, I don't know the percentage of times that the injection analysts actually answer the phone when we need them. Me and Cardenas really needed an answer about stuff that was going on today, and we couldn't get a hold of an engineer or an analyst for 2 or 3 hours. But we need to make an attempt at that FaceTiming and then write the injection analyst's name. If they don't answer, I say we can't just wait for 3 hours to get a call back or wait for a pumper or an IFA to come out to location when we already know how to safely do our job because we do it every day. But let's make an attempt to FaceTime the analyst before we bleed off the flow line and rig up. And then if they answer, great. If they don't answer, great. Still put their name down on the rigless work permit. So we are in compliance with Oxy's written policies for how we have to operate without a Oxy rep there. The last thing on the list is we've had, I think you might have seen the GroupMe message, and I've brought it up a couple times, but we can't stress enough how important it is to do the ops reporting every day on a radio. Whatever details about failures, if you short out a tool, if you lose a tool, if something breaks, if you lose injection, anything that can help anybody. If we have to go back 2 years from now and look up what happened on the job you were on, we can have some details, and it can help, cover our tail. The lack of those ops reporting on a radio with Exxon, I'm sure, has cost us money. Because when a job is done, they want to go back and talk about NPT time, and they want to be paid back for all that NPT time. And if we go back into the jobs and there's no ops reporting, it's really hard for a sales, rep or a manager or whoever is talking to the customer to have some ammunition to place blame or ownership of that NPT time away from Renegade if it wasn't our fault. So that ops reporting can help save us money. I think that's all I have. I'm going to take what you're looking at on that screen for the safety alert. I'm going to put it into KPA, send it to you as an acknowledgement. That way we know that you looked at this and watched this video. But the big deal was you have to take ownership of subcontractors following safety protocols Don't put your body over 4 foot off the ground without a harness, and be safe. And then we are going to make a FaceTime attempt and write an analyst's name on the rigless work permit, so we're in compliance there. That's about it. As far as Oxy goes, I told them we'd have 2 trucks in Denver City next week after our conference call per their request, as for the backlog in Denver City. There's a couple real old ones on the backlog that I'll try and remember to focus trucks on. But that's it. Thank you.